Beverly Young Nelson is one of the women who accused Roy Moore of sexual assault when she was a 16-year-old waitress at the Old Hickory House. She is the accuser who had the yearbook signed by Roy Moore and provided it as evidence that Roy Moore did in fact know her and of course signed that yearbook. Well, now there is a twist to that story because apparently Young Nelson had added a date at the very bottom of what Roy Moore had signed. Conservatives caught on to that, and now they're saying the entire thing has been forged, which is absolutely not true. They're just doing what they can to discredit her, and in addition, discredit anyone else who has accused him of any misconduct. Now, Moore's defenders have pointed to the difference between the 7s in Christmas 1977, which Moore wrote, and the 12/22/77, which Nelson wrote. The inscription and the appended text were obviously written by different people, with Moore writing the former. Now, Nelson had simply added a note to the bottom of his inscription, writing the date 12/22/77 and Old Hickory House, the restaurant of where the two had met. Now, of course, conservatives are taking that one small thing and they're turning it into a massive story where they're pretending as if the entire thing was made up, completely fabricated, and again, that is not true. So I'll give you some headlines. First, Breitbart. They had the headline that says the following: bombshell, Roy Moore accuser Beverly Nelson admits she forged yearbook.
She didn't admit that at all.
That is just flat out a lie. That's it, it's a flat out lie. It's insane, okay. There's more. So Fox News also jumped on this story and then later had to retract it because they also lied. Fox News ran an article on their website using the word forged in their headline, although annotations are very different from forgeries, right? So the tweet that they had sent out said, Roy Moore accuser admits she forged part of yearbook inscription attributed to Alabama Senate candidate. Now, in the article, they actually changed the word forged to something a little more accurate. And the story also writes, and this is also untrue, that Moore has denied signing the yearbook and said he did not know Nelson at the time. Moore also went on to become a judge and then the Chief Justice of the Alabama State Supreme Court, later ruled against Nelson in a 1999 divorce case. So that's what the article on Fox News wrote. Moore never presided over Nelson's divorce case. That again was a flat out lie. Fox News had to retract that.
But just like Brian Ross, they have suspended everyone involved in all those mistakes for 4 weeks without pay. Because I know Fox News was very concerned about getting things accurate at that moment. These are very important issues. They're all suspended, right? Oh, they're not suspended. Well, that's so weird. I'm sure Breitbart has suspended the guy who wrote the headline, right? Come on. So look, a couple of the guys that started this are the same alt-right characters who did Pizzagate, who went on to smear almost everybody they oppose. They call almost everyone they oppose pedophiles and child molesters, because what do they want to do? They want to protect child molesters like Roy Moore. So you just muck it up. You just call everyone a child molester until nobody knows what's going on.
That's right.
And the mainstream media calls it even, right?
Yes. Yep.
And so here they're like, oh, she wrote an annotation. Hey, don't forget, this is when it was said. Now, if she had decided that she was going to forge the whole thing, why didn't she just write the whole thing in the same handwriting?
Right.
Why is there two different handwritings? Okay, so, or why would you bother to get someone else to write it in Roy Moore's handwriting and then add a second thing in your handwriting, thereby tipping people off? No, it's because Roy Moore wrote the thing, which in the beginning he didn't even deny. Now, and my favorite quote of his now is that he questions whether, quote, everything written in that yearbook was written by Roy Moore. No, of course not everything written in the yearbook was written by Roy Moore. In other words, he doesn't want to deny that he wrote the part that he wrote. He's saying, but I didn't write everything in the yearbook. Nobody's saying you wrote everything in the yearbook.
So stupid. And by the way, I mean, look, most people read headlines, okay? Most people will read a headline and then they will think that they know all the details of the story based on that headline. So do you think people are gonna get into the nuance of what Nelson wrote and what Roy Moore wrote? No, they're gonna read that headline from Breitbart and then they're gonna use it for their justification for voting for Roy Moore. And so my message to those people is, look, based on what the polls currently say, Roy Moore is likely to win. You guys don't care about the molestation. You don't care about the sexual assault. You don't don't care about the women in your state. You don't care about teenagers who were dealing with sexual misconduct on Roy Moore's hand or at his hand. So just stop twisting and turning things so you can justify voting for him. You don't care. Just be proud of the fact you don't care and go ahead and vote for him.
Just say it.
Just say it.
Say it. As Sam Kinison was legendarily saying, say it!
Like these mental exercises that they're doing to justify and feel better about themselves. No, you're a bad person, just accept it. You like voting in favor of child molesters because you think that's better than voting in favor of a Democrat. You think a Democrat's worse.
One of the alt-right guys spreading this has admitted in the past online that he doesn't care about rape. Well, and he doesn't believe that date rape even exists. So just own up to it, man. What are you doing all the tricks for? You know why you're doing the tricks? Because you know that people actually don't agree with you. The majority of people are not as vile as you, and you know that. So that's why you try to trick people into being on your side by pretending to have facts you don't have.
I just think the most ironic thing maybe ever is that Fox News retracts that thing about the divorce, but they're standing by their denial of climate change.
Yeah, and just about every other lie they do, right?
Like it's like, oh, we're sorry, we got that wrong, but climate change still isn't a thing.
So the uneven playing field is what drives me crazy. I talk about it all the time. So first of all, when the press treats the right and the left equally, it's just they're not equal. Your job is not to be neutral, it's to be objective.
Yes.
The right wing has a bunch of monsters that lie on purpose and then brag about it. One of the other things that these alt-right guys do is like, oh good, let's make up a thing about how a guy is a sexual predator who's totally innocent, and let's try to get it to be #1 on the Google search. So that anyone who Googles his name will think that he's a child molester because we don't like him politically. You're gonna take that guy's word as legitimate? Are you insane? So you've got to at some point have guts and say, if I'm going to be a real journalist, I have to actually call things as they are and not be afraid that the Republican or alt-right or Breitbart or Fox News is gonna yell at me. There are monsters that go bump in the night, and those are those guys. And it's provable, you've seen their track record. But still, they'll be afraid. Breitbart is nothing but lies. So no, you can't how can you take Breitbart, anything written in Breitbart seriously? And then for Fox News, they're a gateway drug to the alt-right nonsense, okay? And so they take that, and it goes both ways. They take that stuff and they put it out there, and they do a trick, by the way, that the Pentagon does. We didn't bomb civilians. They'll blare it in the headlines. The first day that there's a bombing, 17 people killed in a wedding. We didn't bomb civilians. Everybody prints the New York Times, everyone. They did not bomb civilians. That's what Pentagon says. 2 weeks later, Pentagon's like, yeah, we might have bombed civilians. That goes in A17 in a correction that no one ever reads.
That's so true.
And so Fox News goes, forgery of Roy, saying that Roy Moore wrote that stuff in the yearbook. It's forgery, and everybody reads it. And then when no one's paying attention, hours or days later, with no consequence to anyone who ever wrote it, they'll say, oh, by the way, it wasn't a forgery, and by the way, he never was involved in that case.
Yeah.
And no one will see that. And they'll have riled up enough people to go vote for Roy Moore. That is the agenda of Fox News. The fact that not only are they part of the so-called legitimate press, but they were running the White House Correspondents' Dinner and group. I don't know if they still are. I know they were until very recently. It's a joke. And then when Obama said, hey, we should challenge Fox News, they're like, how dare you, our beloved Fox News colleagues who I would like to join later for a really high salary. By the way, you go back and look, when Howard Kurtz used to kiss Fox News' ass when he was on CNN, I said on this show, the reason he's doing that is but one day he might work at Fox News. And guess what happened? One day, Howard Kurtz moved over to Fox News and now gets a hefty paycheck to kiss their ass on their air. Because they all go in the same circle. They're all part of the same group getting paid. What you just watched was one of the videos that we do today, but we actually do a whole 2-hour show every single day. It's a podcast, you can watch it in video or listen to it as audio. You can download it, you can stream it, and you get it completely ad-free if you could become a member of the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.